Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 25, The Glories of Devotional Service, Text 25. Satang prasangan mama virja sambido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tat joshanad ashu apavarga Vartmani Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishati Satang Prasangan Mama Virja Sambido Bhavanti Hritkarna Rasayana Katha Tajjoshanadasya pavarga vartmani Shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati Satang prashangan mama birja sambido Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha Tajjoshanadasu apavarga vartmani Shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati Satang prashangan mama birja sambido Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha Tajjoshanadasu apavarga vartmani Shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati. Satang of pure devotees, prashangat through the association, mama, my, virja, wonderful activities, sambidaha, by discussion of, bhavanti, become, rit, to the heart, karna, to the ear, rasayana, pleasing, katha, the stories, tat, of that, joshanat, by cultivation, ashu, quickly, apavarga, of liberation, Vartmani, in the path, Shraddha, firm faith, Ratihi, attraction, bhakti, devotion, anukramishati, will follow in order. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Please repeat after me. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Lord is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of materialistic persons and seek the association of the devotees, because without the association of devotees, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. Generally, people are convinced of the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth because they do not associate with devotees. They cannot understand that the Absolute Truth can be a person and have personal activities. This is a very difficult subject matter, and unless one has personal understanding of the Absolute Truth, there is no meaning to devotion. Service or devotion cannot be offered to anyone impersonal. Service must be offered to a person. Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lord are described. They think that these activities are fictional, manufactured stories, because spiritual life is not explained to them in proper mood. To understand the personal activities of the Lord, one has to seek the association of devotees. And by such association, when one contemplates and tries to understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, the path of liberation is open and he is freed. One who has firm faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one whose firm faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes fixed, and his attraction for association with the Lord and the devotees increases. Association with the devotees means association with the Lord. The devotee who makes this association develop the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord, and then being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect. Satang prashangan mama birja samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana katha Tajoshanadashu apavarga vatmani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishati. In the association of pure devotees, discussions of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. So Kapil Dev, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is instructing his mother. And in course of the discussion, now he is actually mentioning how important it is the association of devotees is in our spiritual progress, in the path of our spiritual advancement. As a matter of fact, as Prabhupada is pointing out in the purport, to properly understand Krishna, one must come in contact with the devotee. Otherwise, one tends to become either pious or an impersonalist. One accepts some higher arrangement which is controlling, which is observing, which is giving the results of our action. So those people, those who believe in that there are superior beings who are watching us and recording our activities, and accordingly they are going to give us the results of our action. They become pious. Pious means acting in a right way to derive material benefit. Piety. This piety can be compared to money. Money is gross wealth. Okay, money is, what is money? Money is the medium of exchange. It's a medium of exchange. That means if you have money, then you can, in exchange of that money, you can get something that you want. So this is the gross aspect of money. Cash or gold. But the subtle aspect of wealth is piety. Like, with money, we get the benefit only in this world. But the piety, if we have in store, then that continues to the next life and life after. Like sometimes we see that someone is born in a wealthy family. Someone is born as a prince or a princess. And someone is born as a pauper. Why is that? Is it an accidental happening? No. Those who have the piety, they are benefiting from their pious activities in this way, getting elevated birth. Three things are a result of the piety: Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribhir. Born in aristocratic family, Janma. Aishwarya, wealth, opulence. Shruta, learning, knowledge, education. And Shri, physical beauty. So these four things are the results of pious activities. And not only that, sometimes, say for example, one who is born in a rich family, just by his birth he has so many facilities. Whereas somebody is born in an undesirable condition. So what do we have to understand? That those who are born in a favorable situation, they had their piety. And those who didn't have, rather those who are sinful, they are suffering as a result of their past activities. So you can see like how piety is a medium of exchange also. If you want something, if you have piety, sometimes we see that somebody, he so easily achieves success. Midas's touch, the American expression. That whatever he touches becomes gold. And some people are like that. And some people, although they struggle through their whole life, they can't make their both ends meet. So the secret behind it is piety. Right action will give us piety, wrong action will lead us to suffering. So some people in the material nature, they become pious because of some higher understanding. And then some other people, they ultimately consider that yes, the arrangement that is controlling this material nature is some sort of impersonal, some energy. It's some energy that is actually some power that is controlling everything in the material nature. So they ultimately consider that the spiritual energy is controlling everything, and the spiritual energy is called Brahma Jyoti. So this way, people tend to be either pious or impersonalist. Because this is general material understanding. In the material nature we can see that. Things are happening maintaining certain order, therefore there must be some energy or some control. But is there something beyond that? Is there something beyond that impersonal energy? Let's put it that way. Can the energy exist by itself? So the energy must have a source. The energy must have an energetic. So the energy may be impersonal, but the energetic is personal. Now the information about that energetic is not possible unless and until one comes across somebody who knows him. So who knows the energetic? The devotees. Because they know him, therefore they become his devotees. Therefore, unless and until one comes across a devotee, one cannot possibly understand the energetic who is the supreme person, the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna. If I ask you, how many of you have come to Krishna consciousness by coming in contact with a devotee? Is there anyone who became a devotee, who came in contact with Krishna consciousness without coming in contact with a devotee? Is there anyone? Are you? Is it? Tell me how. So you are searching for Guru, okay. So who is that someone? Okay, he may be a karmi, but he gave you the information about ISKCON, the storehouse of devotees. What about your story?
I was just searching deeply for God and truth.
You told me the story.
Yes, absolute truth. And I went into a thrift store one day and found a copy of Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So where did Bhagavad Gita come from? No one, in reality, no one can come to Krishna consciousness without coming in contact with a devotee. You may have some non-devotee indicator, like say for example, you may just come across invitation to Sunday feast. But the thing is that the invitation is bringing you, but once you come to the Sunday feast, then what happens? Does the invitation letter or invitation card giving you the information about Krishna? It's alluring you to come to the situation where you can meet the devotees and get the information about Krishna. So, that is the secret behind receiving devotional service. First is understanding about Krishna. You see, devotional service is actually a transcendental love affair. It is a love affair. Love affair with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhakti means Parama Purushe Prema. Love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, in order to fall in love with somebody, you have to know about him. Can we love somebody without knowing him? Somehow or other we had to know him. Either in movies or in storybooks or personally meeting the person and so forth. So unless and until we know the person, we cannot develop a loving relationship with him. So when it comes to developing a loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have to know him first. And the more we get to know him, the more we fall in love with him. Why? Wonderful. Because he is all attractive. The attraction is the foundation of love, basis of love. Do you fall in love with something or somebody who we find repulsive? No. The attraction is the basis of love. Now mind you, Krishna is all attractive. So it's only a matter of understanding Krishna, recognizing Krishna, becoming aware of Krishna. So as we become aware of Krishna, this love for him becomes spontaneous, becomes inevitable. So that is why, what happens in Satang Prashangan? Satang, the word Satang means, Prabhupada is translating the word Satang. How many of you remember what's the meaning of that word? Don't look at your of pure devotee. Yeah, Satang. Sat is pure devotee. And Satang means of pure devotee. And of pure devotee is association. Due to the association with pure devotees. Now consideration is, who is a pure devotee? The pure devotee, this definition of a pure devotee, who has accepted Krishna and doesn't have any other intention but pleasing Krishna. So it is not that to be a pure devotee you have to be like this or like that. Anybody who knows Krishna, we have to recognize that he is a pure devotee because he is on the pure path of devotion. Didn't I mention the other day, Prabhupada saying in ISKCON everyone is a pure devotee? Did I? Or you forgot? Anyway, I will repeat. One day, Srila Prabhupada just mentioned, in ISKCON everyone is a pure devotee. So the other devotees became quite shocked. Everyone is a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada, that new bhakta who joined the other day, is he a pure devotee? Such and such devotee is a pure devotee, and so forth. Prabhupada said, yes. It's a matter of green mango and ripe mango. The mango may be green, but if it remains in the tree, it will become ripe. So, someone may be green now, someone may be, say, impure now, but if he stays in ISKCON, in course of time, he will become a pure devotee. Therefore, Prabhupada's instruction, no matter whatever happens, don't ever leave ISKCON. Don't leave ISKCON. Because if you stay in ISKCON, even though you're a green mango today, in course of time you'll become a ripe mango. If you stay in ISKCON, even though you may be a pure devotee, you may not be a pure devotee today, but in course of time, you'll become a pure devotee. Because ISKCON is actually guiding you to that ultimate destination, Krishna. And that is the meaning of pure devotee. It's not that to be a pure devotee you have to be 75 years old, you have to be 25 years in the movement, you have to be a GBC or a guru or a sannyasi. No. The indication of a pure devotee whose heart is pure, who has accepted pure love for Krishna, who is following the pure process of Krishna consciousness, we have to recognize him as a pure devotee. Therefore, now what Sukadeva Goswami, Kapil Muni is saying, that in the association of pure devotees, the discussion of Krishna Katha takes place. So now it indicates that as ISKCON, as devotees of Krishna, what is your responsibility? Wonderful. Jare dakhu, tare kahu, Krishna Upadesh. Whoever you see, you speak to him about Krishna. Don't think, oh, I am not so advanced, I am not, or I am not a Prabhu, I am a Mataji, I am not old enough, I am young. Doesn't matter. Just wherever you are, whoever you meet, just speak to him about Krishna. This is how the world will benefit. In this world, everything is possible. Everything is available. Only one thing is missing. Right. What is missing is Krishna consciousness. Because Krishna consciousness is not something of this world. Krishna consciousness is something from the other world, spiritual world. It has descended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, Krishna's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy. It has descended here. So now that you found it, distribute it. Distribute it. Prabhupada wanted everyone to preach. And everything that we do in ISKCON must be for the sake of preaching. Like some devotee is cooking in the kitchen, for what? So when the people will come, they'll get Krishna Prasad. And by getting Krishna Prasad, they'll develop their love for Krishna. Somebody is cleaning the temple. Why? Because when people come, they'll like the beautiful atmosphere and they'll become favorably disposed to Krishna consciousness. And of course, somebody is distributing books, somebody is going out and preaching, somebody is going out in Harinam in the streets. All these endeavors, all these arrangements are simply to attract people to Krishna consciousness. So make it a point, wherever you are, try to preach. Because the need is, the whole world has become atheistic. And those who are somewhat theistic, they are impersonalists or voidists. Voidist means those who think that in the end everything will be nothing. And impersonalists, those who think that ultimately the goal of life is to merge in impersonal Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual light. But these two are not the right course. The right course of action is understanding Krishna. So, do you remember our Prabhupada's prayer? What do we say? Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatharine. Nirvisheshvad means impersonalism. And Shunyavad means voidism. Voidism. That ultimately everything is nothing. Can that be the right conclusion? Everything is nothing. The goal of life is to become nothing. And the conclusion is, because of something, because of your body, you are suffering. So get rid of the body, then there won't be any suffering. You become nothing, there won't be any suffering. It is not actually very, tangible or appropriate conclusion. Like there is a boil in the leg, and the boil is causing pain. Now to get rid of the pain of the boil, should I cut off my leg? Voidism is something. Voidism's conclusion is something like that. The body is a source of misery, therefore get rid of this body. But the thing is, the body may be a source of misery because it is being utilized in a wrong way. But if this body is utilized in a proper way, then this body can be the source of joy. So it's a matter of understanding the proper way. And the Krishna consciousness is the way, where not only the body, the mind and our speech, everything is used in Krishna's service. Kaya means body, mana, mind, bhakya means speech. So all these three should be utilized in Krishna's service. When we do that, when we are able to do that, then they become the source of joy. If we did not have this body, could we become a devotee? Simple consideration. So we needed this body to be engaged in Krishna's service. And this is the proper utilization of the body, the mind and intelligence and so forth. So satang prashangan mama birja sambido. What happens in the association of devotees? Krishna Katha takes place. And this Krishna Katha is very potent, very powerful. How powerful it is? It destroys all the shackles of this material nature. All the bondage of this material nature. Frees us from the material bondage and takes us to the spiritual domain. Pirja sambido bhavanti, and this Krishna Katha, the words about, the stories about Krishna, instructions about Krishna, instructions of Krishna are very pleasing to the ears and the heart. When we hear about the glories of Krishna, not only our ears become satisfied, our heart becomes satisfied. Ritkarna rasayana katha. And as a result of that, tajjoshanad ashu, ashu means very quickly. Apavarga vartmani. Pavarga means the materialistic condition. The materialistic condition is immediately nullified. A means negation, and pavarga means suffering condition of this material nature. Starting from pap, sinful activity. Pa, or no, pavarga, pa actually is parishram, endeavor. And that causes to foam in the mouth. Foam, fena. Bartha. Everything is useless, no matter whatever you do here. Ultimately, everything amounts to be nothing. Right? At the time of death, all the money that you put in a bank, what will it amount to? All the degrees that you got, what will it amount to? All the big positions you got, what will amount to? Won't everything will turn into zero at that time? So Bartha. And bhoy, fear. And ma, mrityu. Pa Varga means Pa, Fa, Ba, Bha, Ma. Remember that? Alphabet, Indian, Sanskrit and Hindi alphabet. So these are the Pa Varga. Pa, Fa, Ba, Bha, Ma, indicating from Parishram to Mrityu, death. So, so that is our situation in the material nature. But when you take to Krishna consciousness, when you hear about Krishna, then what happens? Pa Varga is finished. Apa Varga Bhatmani. Bhatma means path. This is a path of cessation of materialistic way of life. And as a result of that, Shraddha, faith in Krishna consciousness, faith in Krishna, Rati, attachment, bhakti, devotion to Krishna, anukramishati, gradually they develop. Therefore, always try to take advantage of the association of devotees and always try to give others also your association. It is not that only you have to be somebody very big in the higher echelon to give your association. No. Wherever you are, just consider those who do not know about Krishna won't they benefit by your association when you speak to them about Krishna. Therefore, make it a point to speak about Krishna, but in order to speak first you have to know yourself. You have to educate yourself. Therefore, become a very good devotee. Read Prabhupada's books, practice the process very sincerely, and you will see what an amazing result you will get out of that. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Does anybody have any question?
Repeatedly in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is pointed out that the attachment to devotees is the way to liberation. So, although living in the association of devotees and are associating with devotees quite often, the attachment is not developing, or it's there but not significantly. What will help develop the attachment and not take them lightly and for granted, or because we see also their
try to recognize the value of that association. Then only the attachment will develop. Try to appreciate that. Instead of taking them for granted, instead of not appreciating their presence, rather try to appreciate. And the way to appreciate is to see the good qualities in them. It's not a sentimental thing. The proper assessment, oh, this devotee is so wonderful. He is rendering so much service. He is so nice. So in this way, when we appreciate the devotees, then automatically we will seek for their association. So as you asked, like how to do it, try to appreciate the devotees' qualities. Try to appreciate those who are around you, like how wonderful they are. Try to appreciate. I mean, there's so many wonderful characteristics in these devotees to appreciate. The first thing we can consider, he gave up his materialistic way of life and came to Krishna consciousness. He is chanting the holy name. He has committed himself to Srila Prabhupada's mission. So this way, when we start looking at their positive contributions or positive qualities, wonderful qualities, then automatically we'll develop appreciation. But materially, from the material platform, generally tends to disregard those qualities or tends to not appreciate because of her envy. Envy means we try to consider that I am the best and everything is inferior. And if somebody gets recognition, we say, well, that's not proper. So rather, we have to turn our attitude a completely different way. Instead of envy, we must appreciate. Instead of envy, we must try to love them. Yes, okay. And then I'll take you. Ekendra Prabhu? Oh, there was a question. You had a question? Okay. I didn't see you. Right. Next I'll take you.
Hare Krishna. We find so often in this material realm that even when we develop attraction for something or someone, that tends to be flickering. We tend to go from one thing to the next. But we're told again and again that when we develop attraction for Krishna through this process, that it becomes fixed.
Yeah.
And it seems that that's something that we need to accept on the faith of these statements, because our experience in these bodies tends to be different.
Yeah. Very good point. You see, in Krishna consciousness, the appreciation should develop with Krishna in the center, right? Then only it will be fixed, as you just mentioned. On the other hand, if we appreciate on the basis of anything other than Krishna consciousness, then what we'll tend to think, oh, I appreciate him because he is so nice to me. Then one day if he is not so nice to me, then my attitude changes, right? That is how the material considerations are flickering, temporary. And here we have to also consider the difference between material and spiritual is me and Krishna. When I put me in the center, it's material. When I put Krishna in the center, it's spiritual. So, instead of putting me in the center, if we put Krishna in the center, I appreciate him because what he is doing for Krishna. I appreciate him the way Krishna is appreciating him. So then, you see, when me is not in this picture, then that relationship are permanent, and those relationships are genuine. Those appreciations are genuine. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. I had a question on, we were talking about Shunyavadi, voidism. So since Lord Buddha is non-different from Krishna, it's a multi-part question. Does Lord Buddha have his own loka? And the followers of Lord Buddha follow Shunyavadi. So do they go into Brahmajyoti or do they go to spiritual sky in Lord Buddha's realm?
Yeah, you see, to begin with, Lord Buddha came with a purpose, with a mission to accomplish. And that was to stop animal sacrifice that was going on in the name of the Vedas. Therefore, in order to stop animal sacrifice, he rejected the Vedas. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is saying that Ved na manya bodha hoilo nastik. Because the Buddhists do not follow the Vedas, therefore they are atheists. And Prabhupada said that at least some benefit is there that they are following Buddha. In an indirect way they are getting some benefit. But as you said, that their ultimate destination is not the spiritual sky. the ultimate destination is total darkness, total ignorance where they completely lose their identity. That is the Buddhist destination, right? And therefore, Lord Buddha, at least according to my understanding, I mean, I haven't come across anywhere Lord Buddha having his own planet. No. He came to fulfill certain mission and then he went back. And then came Shankaracharya to re-establish the Vedas, and he established the theory of Mayavad in order to defeat Buddhism and to re-establish the Vedas. But then the four acharyas came, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya and Vishnu Swami, to establish the proper teachings of the Vedas, personalism. And then finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he gave the worship of Radha Krishna. Like Prabhupada once mentioned that on the foundation of Shankaracharya's impersonalism, on the ground of atheism of Buddhism, on the ground of atheism of Buddhism, Shankaracharya dug the foundation. So the building will go up this way, but the foundation goes that way. Therefore, it seems that Shankaracharya's teachings are contradictory. But no, on the basis of that, the Vedas were established. And on that, the four acharyas built the temple. And in that temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established Radha Krishna. So this is how Mahaprabhu's teachings is the ultimate perfection of this apparent contradiction of Advaitavad and personalism, impersonalism and personalism. And when you go to Mayapur, you will see in Chaitanya Math, in the temple that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur built, in the four corners, there are four acharyas. Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya and Vishnu Swami. And then in the temple there is Gandharvika Giridhari. Let me take it on sequence. So, she has a question and then I'll take your question. Mic is coming, so everybody can hear.
I have a question on association. I personally am always in a dilemma nowadays in the days of internet, on webcasting and everything. So when there's programs at the temple and a devotee is coming, you think, shall I go? Shall I not go? And what should we aspire for? The physical, like we're sitting like this, or just say, okay, I'll listen from home?
Well, there's some benefit in that, but being there with the physical association, naturally there is greater benefit. Like because the personal exchange, you cannot have through internet, right? In one hand, internet is facilitating us in many ways, but it's making us impersonal actually. But our movement is a personal movement. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. I wanted to know, is Krishna Katha and chanting the Maha Mantra on the same level? And do you get the same benefit, or is one a little bit higher than the other, or are they the same? I was wondering.
You see, chanting the Mahamantra has three aspects. Japa, which is meant for personal benefit. Then Kirtan, that is benefiting us personally and benefiting others also. And then Sankirtan, benefiting everybody by spreading the sound vibration. But association or hearing or exchanging, that is actually in another dimension. That is personal exchange. as I was mentioning here. So japa and hearing Krishna Katha is not exactly in the same platform. Like in the hearing Krishna Katha can be a part of Sankirtan or Kirtan. Somebody is chanting and we are receiving, we are hearing. So it's a part of Kirtan, but japa is more of on a personal level, for personal benefit. But we chant japa loudly so that those who hear, they can benefit also.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes,
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So one point in this verse is that word ashu is used, which is ashu very
Ashu.
quickly. And also another, like in the translation, Prabhupada explains like one gradually progresses from, from faith to attraction to bhakti. So is it like we very quickly start our process of apavarga and then the process is gradual?
Yeah.
Or
the freedom from material bondage takes place very quickly. Ashu, apavarga vartmani. But then, Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anukramishati. Shraddha Rati Bhakti will gradually develop. Right? But what is Ashu is apavarga vartmani. That quickly we are freed from material bondage. Materialistic suffering condition.
And for both the processes, like getting free from the material and also this gradual progression, the process is same, Harikatha.
Process is the same. It's freeing you from material bondage, taking you to the spiritual sky, and elevating you to the ultimate destination.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. There was another question on that side. Some hands went up. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is, being a Grihastha, sending kids to school where they get non-devotee association, so it impedes whatever is being taught. So can you throw some light on how to deal with it?
I didn't get the question.
Raising kids.
Raising kids. Okay.
Kids.
Yeah.
Sending to a public school or some other school outside, where they get association of non-devotees. That impedes, that has a potential to impede whatever is being taught in the association of devotees, either at home or outside in temple. How do we reconcile and how do we, how do
See,
we...
ISKCON is a very new movement. It's in a developing stage. So we haven't achieved the perfection as yet. But in course of time, there will be perfect situation. We'll have our own schools, we'll have our own universities, and our children can go there. But the thing is that, and through various trials and errors, we are progressing in that direction. Because, it's a young movement, and we are just like a child falters and falls and right? Similarly, our movement is going through that, While trying to walk, we are falling, we are hurting ourselves, but we should consider that, like eventually we all have to create that perfect situation. Not only within our own ashrams and temples, all over the world we have to create that. Because what is going on in this world is in a very, very dangerous, going in a very dangerous and destructive path. To save this world, Krishna consciousness has to be properly established. And as you were saying, that the whole society is going in the wrong direction. We are trying to give the right direction. But from this direction, when they go into that course, that side, they tend to get affected by that. As you're saying, like that's harmful, that's impeding the spiritual progress. But what to do, you see, like we are so few and our opposing condition is so vast, so overwhelming. But we have to keep on struggling. And after all, if we are sincere, Krishna will help and the right situation will be established. Yeah, I'll just take this question here. Okay, yeah, you answered. Yeah, give her the mic.
This is just kind of like a practical question. Like you were talking a lot about how, we have to attract people to Krishna consciousness and tell everyone about Krishna. And I've noticed oftentimes, like, a new person will show up, especially, here we get so many non-devotees coming and people that have no understanding, and devotees I've often seen will like talk at people, talk to them about Krishna without any interest in their lives, and the people kind of walk away a little bewildered. They're just talking at them about Krishna like this person has nothing to say. And I just wanted
Good, very good point. You see, our preacher, who is actually a teacher, must know the art, how to present the subject, so that the student or the listener can understand it. Like somebody may be a PhD, when he goes to the primary school, he doesn't speak like the way he would do with the PhD people. He would rather present it to the students according to their ability to grasp. And a preacher must know how to present so that the listener can understand it. Just not, so it's an art actually. And through the practice we learn the art. The main thing is what do we actually want? We want to convince them about this process. We want to convince them about the spiritual reality, our identity being spiritual, and that Krishna is the supreme spiritual personality. Now, if someone is a neophyte, someone is just coming for the first time, we don't give them the whole packet at the same time. We have to give it to them to the extent they can understand. In many cases, we don't even have to, speak about Krishna consciousness. Just give them Krishna Prasad and be nice to them. Even that will go a long way. Because it's a matter of winning their confidence. First, we have to win their confidence. And when you win their confidence, then whatever we present, they'll accept it. Prabhupada mentioned the Ramakrishna mission doesn't have any philosophy, but it attracted so many people during that time in India. That's because of the personal dealings. Like, you can also consider like so many other groups, they have nothing to say, but they're expanding, they're growing. Why? Because their PR work is fantastic. So we also have to adapt that technique, like, yes, public relationship is important. When they have confidence in you, then whatever you tell them, they'll accept it. Yeah, so last question.
Guru Maharaj, since you were mentioning about Buddha, that he came to stop the animal sacrifices. I was just thinking that the Buddhists all over most of them at least, in the Far Eastern countries or wherever, they are probably the ones who consume the most of meat products. Much to the opposite of what Buddha actually came to establish. It appears as an irony.
So what should we do? So when the Buddhist teaching got completely distorted and the Buddhists today are following something which is totally opposed to Buddha's main purpose, we have to understand that this is the nature of the material nature. A religion remains like the doctrines remains the doctrines at the beginning, then it becomes a philosophy, then it becomes a political convenience, and then it becomes a mere ritual. So they're just doing something without knowing. And anyway, like we don't have to worry about that. Let's consider about our own house. Thank you, Hare Krishna.